A 112 years ago, the UP Board of Regents had a vision to develop their true firstborn college that will spearhead national development through agriculture. At the foot of Mount Makiling, Edwin B. Copeland, together with 7 faculty and 12 students, embarked on the journey to create the UP College of Agriculture, or UPCA. Through its 112 years of existence, the college has produced over 1,000 technologies and variety of plants and animals, 9 national scientists, over 30 outstanding young scientists, and more than 18,000 graduates contributing to agricultural development. UPCA, now College of Agriculture and Food Science, or CAFS, has been continuously contributing to nation building through its instruction, research, and extension function. A mere 10 years after establishment, the college was able to start breeding works with the production of sugarcane varieties with high productivity and resistance to Fiji and mosaic disease. In the 1920s, the importance of agriculture was intensified, and UPCA was recognized as neighboring countries began sending their students to Los Baños because of the high quality of education. In the 1930s, breeds with superior characteristics such as the Burkhala pig, Los Baños Cantonese chicken, and filament cattle were developed. The 1960s was a fruitful decade for research. Makapuno, a coconut cultivar often made into a dessert, was pioneered and perfected. Meanwhile, the Dairy Training and Research Institute was the first in the country to freeze buffalo semen, paving the way for artificial insemination of local carabaos. Along with the establishment of UPLB in the 70s, the college received the prestigious Ramon Magsaysay Award for International Understanding, Asia's counterpart for the Nobel Peace Prize. In the same decade, the C4 plants were developed. The soil test kits were produced in support of the Masagana 99 program, and the mango induction technique was introduced. Continuing the production of quality research outputs in the 1980s, techniques to minimize post-harvest losses, the accelerated fish sauce manufacturing process, and the rapid test kit for the detection of pesticide residue on vegetables were developed. The 1990s saw many new varieties across species or crop types, including Sinta papaya, the first Philippine-bred hybrid, UPLB Gold, a durian variety, and Doña Amelita, a musaenda named after the wife of former President Fidel Ramos. The award-winning National Corn-Based Farmer Scientist RDE Training Program, or FSTP, was also established around this time and still remains as one of the university's primary extension programs. In the field of instruction, the book titled Integrating Sustainable Agriculture in the BSA Curriculum, the UPLB College of Agriculture Experience, was published in 1999. At present, the College of Agriculture and Food Science, or CAFS, continues to be the premier institution of higher learning in agriculture and food science, and remains committed to nation building through its instruction, research, and extension programs. In order to produce the best graduates, all of our courses are outcomes-based education, and continuous improvement of the curriculum is being practiced to meet the challenges of the 21st century. As testament of excellence, CAFS is constantly recognized by different organizations. In research, we continue to implement relevant studies with focus on the 12 priority commodities to address food security. Moreover, technologies are constantly developed to aid in responsible food production. Supplementing these are extension activities to disseminate the knowledge generated to improve food productivity and livelihood of the people. We believe that present technologies will future-proof our food systems. Some of our notable developments are iDetect, Coraginam, Plant Health and Pest Clinic, Pest Management Tools and Techniques, Smarter Pest Identification Technology or SpeedTech, Snap Hydroponics, Drone Technology, Rapid Immunofilter Assay for Virus Indexing, Nanofertilizers Fertigrow, Hormogrow, Nanobiosensors, Biochar. We at the College of Agriculture and Food Science will continue to promote and nurture a culture with innovative yet conscientious minds and cutting-edge skills to lead and serve the country and the region. We are one college with one goal towards sustainable food systems.
Morning po sa inyong lahat, mga ka-web fresher. Narito na naman po tayo sa isa pang session na inihahandog ng Kolehiyo ng Agrikultura at Agham ng Pampagkain mula sa Universidad ng Pilipinas, Baños. Ang Web Fresher series at version na ito ay pinamagatang Rebooting Agriculture in the New Normal, Eps.4 version 6.0, Viewpoints of the Forerunners, Future of Agriculture, and food systems. Ang episode po nating ito ang pang-apat na paksa sa series. Since the start of this series, we already heard exciting and challenging topics from different seasoned speakers. Ako po ang inyong lingkod, si Hazel Ann Makahiya mula sa Institute of Crop Science, College of Agriculture and Food Science, UPLB. Ang makakasama po ninyo sa loob ng halos 2 oras na pag-aaral at talakayan. Ina-acknowledge po natin ang lahat ng kasama sa Zoom, YouTube at Facebook Live. Dito sa Zoom ay kasama rin natin ang ating Dean ng College of Agriculture and Food Science UPLB, si Dean Elpidio M. Agbisit Jr. at ang ating pong Associate Dean for Research and Extension, si Associate Dean Barbara Kawili. At live din po tayo sa YouTube at Facebook page ng CAPS. So maraming salamat po sa pagdalo at pagtangkilik muli sa ating series. Dahil temang pangkababaihan ang ating topic ngayong umaga, base po sa ating pre-registration result. Yan. We would like to welcome about 392 na responses dito po sa ating pre-registration. At base po dito sa result ay meron po tayong 21.9% na mga kalalakihan at 77.8% na mga kababaihan. So, hoping po na karamihan ay naka-in sa Zoom at tuned in sa YouTube and Facebook page po ng CAPS at different institutes po under ng CAPS. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pagsubaybay sa ating event na ito. Ito po ay mag-relax, sabay-sabay na matuto ngayong umaga. Before we start, let me just remind you with our house rules. Para po sa ating mga panelists, turn on your mic and video for inquiries. And for all our participants, you can use the chat box para po sa inyong inquiries. Kasi po dun sa ating mga participants sa YouTube and Facebook, ay gamitin niyo po ang comment section para po sa inyong mga tanong. Later po, para po sa ating open forum sa Q&A, maaari pong gamitin ang Q&A box sa Zoom at comment section na para sa ating mga participants sa YouTube at Facebook. Ang pangunahan po ang programa natin ngayong umaga. Atin pong pakinggan ang panimulang pagbati mula sa Direktor ng Institute of Crop Science, si Dr. Consorcia E. Reaño. Ma'am, good morning po.
Salamat, Hazel. So, binabati ko lahat ng attendees na magandang umaga. At mapataga-CAPS man o hindi. So, I'd like to welcome you all to the episode 4 of Aggies Peace Talk, Women Empowerment in Food and Agriculture. So, today we are very privileged to hear from 2 staunch advocates of women empowerment. So, Senator Pia Cayetano and Commissioner Sandra Sanchez Montano of the Philippine Commission on Women. So, in a discipline that is very close to our hearts. So, yung agriculture. So, as a member of the CAPS, I feel honored at ako po ay lubos na nagpapasalamat for our speakers for making time to be with us this morning. So, when we speak of agriculture, seldom do images of women come to our minds. It is very inspiring for us since she will be discussing, or they will be discussing, a facet of agriculture that is very relevant. especially in these times. No doubt that the role of women in agriculture is a critical one. Data from the Food and Agricultural Organization show that 43% of the global workforce in agriculture are women. In the Philippines, the 2019 labor force survey showed employment of women in agriculture at 30%. This is actually less than the previous years, which had it at 34% back in 2015. The role of women in agriculture has evolved as part of the constantly evolving social, environmental, cultural, and economic context we live in. Rural women, for example, have by default been appointed the caretakers of not only the household, but also the farm and the landscapes. Although women's tasks in the farm are distinct from that of men, she has now bigger responsibilities, ranging from providing farm labor to marketing and processing the produce. However, it is still the men who do most of the decision making. And maybe because of this, that women farmers are usually perceived as farmers' wives. Women control fewer resources than those required to fulfill their responsibilities to ensure that food and nutrition security for themselves and their families. As of December 2020, TSA data on agriculture revealed that there were only less than 95,000 women who hold emancipation patents, compared to 418,000 men who hold the same. While there were 623,000 women who hold certificate of land ownership sa agriculture po ito, compare that to 1.4 million men. So as agricultural professionals, I believe this is one issue that we also need to dip our hands into. Thank you to the organizers of this webinar for bringing in Commissioner Sandra Montano and of course, Senator Pia Cayetano to further educate us in this very important aspect of agriculture. So with that, I'm sure we will be having a very fruitful morning. So good morning po sa lahat and sana maging kaiga-igaya ang pag-attend natin ng webinar na ito. Salamat po.
Salamat po, Direk Connie. So nabigyan po tayo ng kaunting background sa involvement ng ating mga kalalakihan at kababaihan sa agriculture. Now we are privileged to hear a special message from one of the women in the Senate who has been standing for women's rights. May we all welcome the Honorable Senator Pia Cayetano.
Good morning, everyone. I'm really happy to join you today to talk about the future of women in agriculture. So I chair the Senate Committee on Sustainable Development Goals, Innovation, and Futures Thinking. In the SDGs, we track if we are on target with the SDG goals. We explore and prepare for various futures. And it is our objective to shift the mindset to futures thinking as a major policy reform. So yun yung gusto natin. We're always looking at the future, not just the problems now. So the topic on women empowerment and the role of women in agriculture is very much aligned with the SDGs. SDG 2 is on zero hunger, SDG 3 is health and well-being, SDG 5 is gender equality, SDG 11 is sustainable cities and communities, SDG 12 is responsible consumption and production, SDG 13 is climate action, and SDG 10 is reducing inequality. So if you're going to study something, study SDGs because it will show you how all of these are interrelated. So basically, we want to have that futures thinking mindset because it provides us with an avenue to explore different futures, different possible futures. And we must be aware that there could be a very good future or a very bad future. And I don't have time now to illustrate both, but when it comes to farming and agriculture, the worst case possibility or future is that we don't have enough food for our people, and the best case is we have enough food in a sustainable way and that there is not much wastage kasi you may have enough food but ang dami pa rin tapon, sayang naman, di ba? So those are all different scenarios. Now, how important is women's participation? The answer is extremely important. That is precisely why we have SDG 5 on gender equality, because it has been shown that in all sectors, when women are empowered, when they are given the opportunities to participate, to govern, to be a leader, they function very well and the outcome is better for everyone. So in agriculture, we want to see more women's participation. The data we have is that in 2016, 35% of women worked on crop and animal production, hunting and related activities, were unpaid. So of those who work, 35% of them are unpaid workers. So it's very similar to the plight of women. In the household, they are considered unpaid workers. They don't get paid. Wala silang kikitain dun sa trabahong binibigay nila. That improves the welfare of their family. And this has to be addressed. And of course, there are traditional norms and gender roles that we must look at to improve the lives of families, diba? So if we relegate women to the homes only when they could have the opportunity of improving agriculture, that would be amazing. And one reason that women excel is because they are the ones who are confronted with the day-to-day problems of the health of their family. So the malnutrition in their kids, lack of food, alam nila yon. So when you give them access to the actual production of the food or even technology, they can even become inventors of these future technologies that will improve the way we do agriculture and the way we eat. So very briefly, over the last few years, I've made gender amendments. Our Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program extension, RA 9700, included provisions I inserted to support women, support services to be extended equally to women, not just to men, and that there be a women's desk to particularly reach out to women. In the Magna Carta of Women, RA 9710, we have specific provisions that empower women in agriculture and recognize their contribution to food production. So if I just ask you to focus on that alone, we already have the laws. We already have a constitution that recognizes the vital role of women in this field. We must do our part now to empower women to be able to do that. No, it's not enough that they are amazing homemakers. Let's empower them to be equal partners in the food production system and in our agriculture. So I'll leave it at that, but I will be showing slides also that will help you understand how much we need to do to ensure our stability in food production and the role of women. Thank you.
Alright, so maraming salamat po sa ating Senator Pia Cayetano. Sa kanya pong message, natutunan po natin yung mga SDGs, kung saan po involve ang ating bansa, and also how we can empower women through our small tasks. Gayun din po ay nag-present din po siya ng kanyang mga initiatives and the laws that we already have to empower our women, especially in their involvement and important role in agriculture. And we are also encouraged to have that future thinking, no? Kung tayo po ay mag-aaral at involved po tayo sa research, no? Ito po yung mga possible na pwede nating pag-aralan. So ngayon po ay upang ipakilala ang ating tagapagsalita at tatalakay po sa ating paksa patungkol sa women empowerment in food and agriculture. Let's all welcome our associate professor and the current CAFS College Secretary, Dr. Roslyn F. Paelmo.
Thanks so much, Ma'am Hazel. A pleasant good morning to each and everyone. Mapagpalang umaga sa ating lahat. It is really my honor to introduce our speaker for this special topic on women empowerment in food and agriculture. She is fondly known as Ma'am Sandy, a staunch advocate of gender equality, women empowerment, and of risk reduction and management. She is currently the chairperson of the Philippine Commission on Women, PCW. Prior to this, she served as the commissioner for the Science and Health sector of PCW. Her personal experience of surviving from the killer earthquake in Baguio City ignited her passion to educate people to save lives and set up Cheers Foundation that helps in economic empowerment of women and girls on livelihood resilience. She is also the co-founder of Cheers Academy. Our dear participants, colleagues, and audience, please welcome in our Zoom space, Chairperson Sandra Sanchez Montano.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rose Paelmo, for the very generous introduction. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Mapagpalang umaga po na sa ating lahat na nanonood ngayon at na kasama natin sa ating napaka-importanting webinar. Okay, so dahil buwan po ngayon ng Agosto, so marapatin po ninyo na part ng ating pag-explain at pagsasalita ay sa ating wika, okay, sa Tagalog. Okay, before starting with the topic assigned to me, please allow me to greet all the organizers who made this event possible. Ang ating mahal na University of the Philippines, Los Baños, College of Agriculture and Food Science. Ako po'y natutuwa at commendable po ang inyong ginawang suporta sa pag-promote ngayon ng ating women's participation in agriculture. A pleasant good morning sa lahat po ng faculty, alumni, mga estudyante na nandito po ngayon. Siyempre, pinapangunahan po tayo ng ating Dean Elpidio Agbisit Jr., Associate Dean for Research and Extension, Barbara Kawili, ang ating isang Associate Dean for Instruction, Adelisa Doradao, Director Consortia Riaño. Pleasant good morning also sa aking co-resource person na si Senator Pia Cayetano. At siyempre, ang ating PCW family, kasama ko ngayon si Ms. April Ama na mag-assist sa atin sa ating slide presentation. Maraming salamat po sa time na ibinigay niyo po ngayon in spite of all the busy schedules na isingit po natin at talagang priority po natin because kasama po tayo sa SDG. Ang ating gender equality at saka food security, agriculture, fisheries, at marami pa pong iba tayong pag-uusapan ngayon. Hindi niyo po na itatanong, ako po ay isang farmer's daughter. Ako po ay pinanganak sa Urdaneta, Pangasinan. Ang aking tatay ay isang magsasaka, ang aking nanay ay isang mananahe. Kaya sobra pong napakalapit po at saka very close po sa puso ko ang topic na pag-uusapan natin ngayon, lalong-lalo na sa panahon ng pandemic. Bilang chairperson ng Philippine Commission on Women, talaga nakikita ko po yung relevance po ng gagawin natin ng UPLB at PCW. We are actually in close collaboration. Nag-meeting po kami Zoom lately with Chancellor at ang mga college faculty and dean, at sana nga po matuloy po ang ating MOU signing para mas mapagtibay po natin at maging ma-mainstream po natin ang gender and development, women in agriculture sa panahon po natin ng pagsisilbi sa bayan. Okay, so allow me to share to you the mandates of Philippine Commission on Women on Gender Inclusivity in Education, and allow me to share my outline of my presentation. Okay, next slide, please. Flash on the screen is my online, is the online of my presentation, which is divided into 5 parts. So, 5 parte po ang ating presentation ngayon. Unang-una, I'm going to give a brief introduction on the mandates, mission, vision, and commitments of role of PCW or Philippine Commission on Women as the policymaking advocating for gender equality and women empowerment. Second, I will be discussing briefly the current situation of the AFF amidst the COVID-19. Third, I will discuss the gender issues in agriculture, fisheries, and forestry. And the fourth one is the various efforts of the government in address, as well as the brief discussion government in agriculture. And first, ang number 5 po sa outline ng topic natin ngayon is I will be sharing ways forward to promote women's participation in agriculture. Okay, next slide. Please, April. Moving on, let me discuss the role of Philippine Commission on Women in achieving the gender equality. So in a nutshell, this is about the quote, we would like to be the skeleton, the backbone of championing gender equality and women's empowerment and the fulfillment of women's human rights. Kayo po ba sa ating mga participants ngayon, narinig niyo na po ba ang PCW before, Philippine Commission on Women? Okay, so before moving on to the other parts of my presentation, I think it is only proper to give the participants, lalong-lalo na po sa mga bata pa, sa mga millennials natin kasama ngayon, introduce ko lang po ang ating ahensya. A brief background on what Philippine Commission does as a government agency, its mandates, vision, and mission. On the role of Filipino women or NCRFW. It was created by Presidential Decree 633 during the time of President children. Ayan. So siguro yung mga din natin nakangiti kasi ito yung mga ano po natin, ito yung mga batch natin. Ito yung age group natin. NCRFW was only renamed as the Philippine Commission on Women noon pong August 14, 2009. Kaya nga po nag-celebrate po tayo noon ng noong August 14, Magna Carta of Women. With the enactment of the Magna Carta of Women or MCW, which will be discussed in the later during the third part of my presentation. So I will give more details on the Magna Carta of Women on the third part of my presentation. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so sa mga hindi pa po nakakarinig tungkol sa PCW, ito po yung primary policy making and coordinating body of the government on gender equality. So kung nakakarinig po kayo ng GAD, Gender and Development. Okay, may 5% po yan na budget ang bawat gobyerno, so mula sa Office of the President down to the barangay level. Meron po tayong 5% sa IRA na nagagaling po sa gobyerno natin na para po yan sa ating allocation ng gender equality and women's empowerment. So sa UPLB, meron din po kayong 5% na budget for the gender equality and women's empowerment. Fulfillment of women's human rights. Ito po ang nagsisilbing catalyst for gender mainstreaming and the lead advocates for women's empowerment and gender equality and equality in the country. So with this, PCW does not really implement programs which will cater to the public. So hindi po direct service ang PCW. Kaya nga po minsan pag may humihingi po ng tulong, may nagbe-message sa akin na, Chair, kailangan po ng gamot, kailangan po ng medication, kailangan po ng assistance, mga may personal capacity, direct service ang PCW. Chine-channel po namin ang mga request na ito, ang mga tulong na kailangan po ng ating mga constituents sa mga agency, sa mga ahensya na nagbibigay po. Like halimbawa, kung kailangan po ng mga relief services o kaya mga pagkain sa DSWD po yan. Kung may nagpapatuloy naman po ng scholarship para sa kanilang mga anak, para makapag-aral, okay, china-channel po natin yun sa mga sa TESDA, DepEd, or CHED. At syempre, kung kinakailangan naman po nila ng mga intervention on violence against women and children, meron po tayong mga VAUC offices sa mga barangay at saka sa mga opisina po. Kasama po yan sa gender mainstreaming. Okay? So with this, the Philippine Commission on Women, except for special cases, our programs are for benefit of the key implementing agencies, which are the ones providing direct service to the public. Okay. So, kung sino po yung mga key implementing agencies na nagpo-provide, like halimbawa, may magre-request po na baka pwedeng ma-refer for collaboration in UPLB. So, hindi po kami ang i-refer po namin sa inyo. Ganun po yung ganun po ang programa po at coordination ng PCW sa mga key implementing agencies. Okay. Since education is also one of the priority sectors, we are closely working with DepEd regarding their GAD agenda. So, katulad po niyan, okay? So, ang DepEd po, ang close coordination po namin is yung kanilang Gender and Development Agenda, Gender Mainstreaming and Evaluation Framework or the GMEF, and the GAD Plans and Budget. Siguro po kung napapansin po ninyo, di ba? Kailangan po tayo mag-submit ng annual GAD Plan and Budget. So yun po yung isinasabit niyo po sa opisina namin para po ma-check po namin kung may impact po ba yung ginagawa natin at na-mainstream po ba natin yung gender and development and na-maximize po ba natin yung 5% na allocation para sa GAD budget. Okay, next slide please. So in the fulfillment of our mandate, PCW aims to be the premier policy-making and oversight agency. So when we talk about policy, so sa pamamagitan po ng mga polisiya, katulad nga ng sinabi po kanina ni Senator Pia Cayetano, at saka sa mga counterpart natin sa Congress, mas nagkakaroon po ng boses ang ating mga kababaihan kung ano po yung programa, legal basis, at mga Executive Order, Republic Act na kailangan po i-mainstream natin at i-champion natin para sa mga kababaihan natin. Like we have this 10 Women Priority Legislative Agenda na ito po ay talagang sinusulong po natin sa Kongreso, sa Senado na maaprubahan po para sa protection po ng ating mga kababaihan. And then, para naman po sa ating mga sa ating oversight agency, okay, oversight agency po tayo. So, tinitignan natin, bumababa po ang ating Board of Commissioners, kasama po ako, bilang chairperson sa mga LGU, sa mga government agency para po i-check yung mga ginagawa po nating policy ba ay nagagamit natin, na-implement po ba natin mga programa sa PCW in partnership with the line agency para po makita naman natin na talagang champion po natin ang cause and in-advocate po natin ang women empowerment. So we would like to create an enabling to successfully influence development efforts towards gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls, and aims to create an enabling environment for the government and other stakeholders to be more responsive to the gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls. Okay, next slide, please. Now that I have given a brief introduction on what PCW does as a government agency, I would like to emphasize the current situation of women in agriculture, fisheries, and forestry, or the AFF. I'll try to be concise and at the same time comprehensive in the next slide because we have time constraint. Please note, however, that with the limited time, I will just discuss the highlights, okay? So if we have all the time, the whole day sana, we could really discuss everything under the sun about agriculture, fisheries, and about women and girls. But i-highlight po natin yung dapat po natin mapag-usapan at matutunan ngayong araw na to, okay? So, sa palagay niyo po ba, bago nag-pandemic, ano pong sektor ng ating ng ating gobyerno or ng ating society ang most affected? So, before the pandemic, farmers, fisheries, and people residing in rural areas consistently had the highest poverty incidence rate from 2015 to 2018. Base po sa Philippine Statistics Authority, data on poverty, meron po tayong 31.6% poverty incidence with 2.4 million magnitude of poor. Na-observe po yan noong 2018 among the farmers. So, ganun po kahirap ang mga magsasaka natin. Ramdam na ramdam ko po yan kasi ako po ay ipinanganak sa probinsya, sa pamilyang magsasaka. Sa aming baryo, talagang lahat po ay magsasaka. Kaya talagang noon pa nga po na wala pang pandemic, mahirap na po ang buhay ng ating mga magsasaka at mangingisda. What more ngayon sa ating pandemic? So, noong 2018, among the farmers, 26.2 poverty incidence, and among the fisheries natin, ang ating fishers, 24.5 poverty incidence. Among individual residing in the rural areas, 18% poverty incidence among self-employed and unpaid family workers. Okay, so ating kababaihan po naman, there are 16.6 poverty incidents and 8.7 million experiencing poverty. So kung meron po tayong 110 million ngayon sa buong bansa, 8.4 million ang talagang nasa poverty level. Most of them are the vulnerable women. People residing in the rural areas, the farmers, the fisheries, and self-employed and unpaid family workers. So ganito po ka-green ang reality na hinaharap po natin ngayon noong 2015, 2018, and naging worse po yan noong dumating na po yung pandemic. This is a global a problem that we are facing right now. During the pandemic, mobilization and transportation has a lot of restrictions, as well as the deprivation of functional and reliable digital infrastructure made the data on poverty incidence very hard to gather. As such, no data has yet been officially published about poverty incidence during the pandemic. However, during the stakeholders' consultation on the strengthening of economic support to rural women conducted by the Philippine Commission on Women, the Sectoral Coordination Division or the SCD, isang department po ito sa PCW, on June 17 to 18, 2021, poverty is rampant, but subsistence incidence or food poverty has not been experienced by most rural women. Only 45% of the participating women farmers and 40% of the women fishers reported experiencing hunger as an effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is somewhat an improvement of the 2018 data indicating that the subsistence incidence of 11.6% of farmers, 8.3% of fishers, and 8% of individuals residing in rural areas, and 6.2% for self-employed and unpaid family workers. Despite the improvement, women with 5.2 subsistence incidence and 2.7 million food poor are the most exposed to the risk as they are women, as they are with the women. People residing in the rural areas, the farmers, the fisheries, or the fishers, and the self-employed and family workers. So grabe po ang impact po sa ating mga kababaihan, sa ating mga magsasaka, mangingisda. Kung tutuusin po, di ba, parang yung ating mga relief goods, na binibili po ng DSWD. Marami din pong mga LGU talaga ang tumangkilik sa mga produkto ng ating mga kababaihan ng mga farmers and fisheries kahit paano po na-augment po yung need po na magbenta nila ang kanilang mga produkto. Kasi like one example that we had when we visited La Trinidad, Benguet, talaga pong nagtapon po sila ng mga gulay noong nagkaroon ng lockdown pandemic kasi hindi po nila maibiyahe. Until such time that they would like to sell that for like 3 pesos a kilo ng carrots. But then they just decided na itapon na lang po kasi daw yung mula sa farming, mula sa mismong farm ng carrots, going to the trading post, magkano gagastusin nila sa gasolina, magkano yung logistics cost, kaya hindi na lang po nila hinarvest. Ganun po yung reality na nakita natin ngayon yung mga kamatis. But in fact, dito sa NCR, kung matatandaan po natin, ang laman po ng ating mga relief goods ay mga canned goods kung sana nagkaroon tayo ng mas magandang coordination. But in other LGUs, in other government agency, we're so happy also that DA was very active in promoting and mobilizing all the products of the farmers in different parts of the country para mahatid po dito sa NCR. Okay, next slide, please. The secondary effects of the COVID-19 pandemic affect poor women, especially in rural areas where agriculture is the main economic sector. In the agriculture and food value chain, women's role prior to the pandemic is slightly visible in the production and post-production, but highly visible in the food processing, value adding, and marketing. So doon din po natutong ating kababaihan na magproseso. Like ginawa po nilang, halimbawa po yung mga kamatis, drinide po nila, at sa tulong nga din po ng DA, DOST at DTI, nagkaroon po ng mga shared service facility or SSF para po matugunan po kaysa naman po mabulok or itapon nila, value adding po. So dinadried po nila yon para po mas lalong magkaroon po ng mas humaba pa po ang ating pagkain para ma-food preserve po siya. Okay? So during that time, thus women are potentially overexposed in the economic fallout brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic as they comprise the majority of those in the informal sector. So you can see in figure 1, the low paying, and in figure 2, tied to daily or hour payment scheme, seasonal nature of work, and not covered by social protection. Actually po, may kukwento ko lang po, noon po nag-draft po kami ng official statement sa APEC on policy protection for women in the economy. Isa po sa mga sinuggest po ng Philippines ay magkaroon ng coverage ng social service inclusion ang mga women. Nagtaka po yung Australia, nagtaka yung New Zealand at saka yung US. Why do we have to include them? Are they not automatically included? Are they not covered? Are they not having this kind of benefits? So yun. So ibang-iba po yung sitwasyon po natin dito sa Pilipinas compare sa mga neighboring developed countries po natin. Kasi totoo po yun, hindi po covered ang ating mga sektor na nasa pagsasaka at saka fisheries. Dahil nga po, well, we are developing country and the government cannot cover. But with the universal healthcare system, we hope na yung no billing balance, kaya nga po yung ibang mga farmers po natin, saka lang pa sila magpapa-check up kung kailangang malala na yung mga sakit nila, mga COPD, mga skin diseases, and so on and so forth. AFF experienced varying situations during the pandemic. Agriculture and forestry second to mining and quarrying gained employment by 19.1%. However, fisheries ranked number 4 in those sectors with the largest drop in employment. It posted 21.2% drop in employment or equivalent to an estimated 300,000 fishers and fish farmers quitting from production and working. So Kaya minsan po, kumbaga kung titingnan po natin ang balance ng ating ekonomiya, 300,000 ang mga farmers or anong fisher folks, mga fishermen ang nawala ng trabaho, ang nag-quit ng mangisda dahil nga sa effect ng COVID-19 pandemic. So, nasaan na po yung 300,000 fisherman ngayon? Paano po yung pamilya nila? Paano po yung mga anak nilang nag-aaral? Paano po yung kanilang sustenance and everyday living? So, those are the grim realities that we are facing right now sa ating mga AFF. At base po sa Philippine Statistics Authority data, among the 3 sectors, the services sector has the highest percentage of employment and the only sector posting a positive employment growth of 0.5%, as you can see in figure 3. The agriculture sector falls to second and the industry sector came third with 10.2% and 6.2% growth rate respectively. Also, more people are employed full-time while more than a quarter are still having part-time employment. So yung service sector natin tumaas, pero bahagyang-bahagya lang po, 0.5%. Okay, next slide please. In terms of financial inclusion and social protection measures, mixed gender gap is noted. You can see in figure 5, through women are earning less, more women are saving, own an account, save through e-money, and avail insurance than male. Okay? So, konting tap naman po sa ating mga shoulders sa mga kababaihan, sa mga huwanay dyan. Even though mas konti po ang kinikita natin, tayo po ay nakapagtatabi. Di ba sabi nga nila, magsudi ka. Kailangan may itabi ka. Kaya nga, ngayon marirealize natin, bakit ang mga kababaihan, di ba, ang dami-daming bag, ang dami-daming wallet, di ba? Nakangiti po tayo ngayon kasi di ba may bag kang maliit, may bag kang malaki, may bag kang ganito, may wallet kang iba-iba. And then kung saan-saan natin minsan isinusuksok yung ating mga pera, di ba? And then with the digital economy right now, so natuto na tayo mag-e-wallet. May mga GCash, may mga debit card, may mga e-money, and nakakatuwa po, may mga insurance rin po tayo. So yun, ganun po tayo kaayos when it comes to paghawak na ng money matters. Okay. However, men are more likely to save in institutional entities like bank, investment. In 2017, PSA reported only 22% of the women surveyed have a unused bank account. So, para po kasing para kasing hindi tayo masyadong naging financially, parang yung financial literacy ng mga kababaihan. Lalo na yan, I just give you an example. Si Mamang, makikita mo na kung saan-saan siya nagsusubi at nagtatabi ng mga pera. May, halimbawa, kasi mayroon kaming sari-sari store, meron po siyang doon, mga nakatabing pera, kung saan ito yung pambayad ng tuition fee. Pag nag-harvest ng mangga, ito yung pambayad para sa amilyar, pag nag-harvest ng gulay, at pag nagkaroon ng anihan. So yon, ganun po. Para bang meron po siyang different packets. At nung tinanong ko nga po, kung meron ba kaming or siyang bank account, sabi niya ganun, hindi na kailangan. Natatandaan ko kung anong saan ko inilalagay yung pera. Pero yun nga po, kailangan po magkaroon po tayo talaga ng bank account para po mas maprotektahan po at mag-grow kahit paano at investment ang ating mga pera. Okay? Correspondingly, outstanding loans of women in rural areas increased 7.8% during the pandemic. Inopportunately, their loan credit sources are considered informal because relatives, friends, and microfinance lending organizations with a risk of having a higher interest rate. So yon. In terms of insurance and savings, rural areas have better conditions like 4% and 3% respectively than urban areas. However, there is a huge disparity or 18% in the investment opportunities. In the completed stakeholders consultation on strengthening economic support of to rural women led by PCW and SCD, only 3% of the participating women farmers and 20% of the women fisher folks receive cash subsidy from the government. So ganun po kaliit ang nasa-subsidize po pag mga kababaihan. Further, based on the data of the Department of Agriculture in 2020, there are 1,505,950,000 in loans have been disbursed to 47,999 borrowers, of which about 50% or 23,900 borrowers are women beneficiaries. Ayan. Yet, only 7% of the participating women farmers and 12% of the women fisher folks availed the financial credit service of the government. Sabi nga nila, maraming documents, maraming mga papel, wala na silang time, magluluto pa sila, mag-aalaga ng mga anak, mag-tend sa kanilang sari-sari store. There are so many rule of women that we are facing. Kaya nga, hindi lang po tayo multitasking, pero napakagaling din po nating mag-blending. Okay, for slide 12. Okay, next slide please. Globally, during the pandemic, women are 8% less likely than men to own a mobile phone. Ayan. Kasi parang, lalo na yung mga nasa probinsya talaga, nasa baryo, iisa yung phone na ginagamit. Nakikigamit lang si nanay sa kanyang anak o kaya sa kanyang asawa. The basic tool for digital transformation. Minsan nga, di ba, maalala niyo yan sa ating mga naka-tune in ngayon sa atin. Paglabas mo ng bahay, nakalimutan mo yung cellphone mo, talagang babalikan mo, di ba? Hindi pwedeng hindi mo dalhin. Pero minsan pag nakalimutan mo yung also aside from the cellphone, of course the face shield and the face mask, yun yung mga must have na kailangang dalhin. Pero noon, di ba? Pwede tayong lumabas sa kahit walang cellphone, but then with the digital transformation, kailangan updated tayo lagi. So, this is contrary to the Philippine data wherein 86% of women have the use of a mobile data phone. Okay, so ang tawag nga po sa atin ngayon, we are the texting capital of the world. Okay, but however, it is a smartphone or not is not recorded. Okay, women globally are 20% less likely to use mobile internet. Okay, this gap means there are 165 million women with no access to information and benefits remotely or online during the pandemic. In developing countries, women also have less autonomy and agency in smartphone acquisition. The gap is worsened by language barriers and technological illiteracy in the rural areas. In the completed stakeholders consultation on strengthening economic support to rural women led by PCW and SCD, most of the participating women farmers are 90%, and women fisher folks, 84%, have access to digital tools like cell phones, social media, and electronic means. So, nagiging digital sabi ng ating mga kababaihan kasi nga tumataas po yung participation ng ating mga women at fisher folks and farmers. The consistent availability of these digital tools, however, is a different thing as most of them need to go to their co-farmers, co-fisher folks, or the municipal or any government offices to access the internet. Okay, digital infrastructure is another concern as most of them stated that internet connectivity and load are not readily available or expensive. So I think ang government po natin ngayon is very active on putting different cell sites, especially in the rural areas, para po yung connectivity, lalo na ngayon yung online internet, ang access ng education natin, ang trade, at merely ng communication. So talaga pong double time po ang ating government sa infrastructure, especially on digital transformation. Despite these concerns, all of those who can access digital tools are useful to their production and agribusiness transactions. Okay? Naikwento ko lang po, there was a time na naimbita po tayo maging speaker sa Department of Trade and Industry sa kanilang Mentor Me. Karamihan po ng mga problema po ng mga MSME natin na nasa far-flung areas ay yung connectivity. Kahit gustong-gusto po nilang makinig, kaya lang minsan makikina yung internet o ubos na yung load nila, kaya napapagastos pa daw po sila. So the result of the survey before the stakeholders consultation also showed that participating women farmers use text messaging. So nagtitext po sila 12% and women fishers use internet or social media 10% as a source of information about farming, fishing, and agribusiness. So karamihan pa rin po nagtatanong sa kanilang kapwa farmer, anong ginawa mo ng anihan na to? Paano mo pinatay yung mga kulisap? Paano mo ano yung mga fertilizers na nilalagay mo dyan? Bakit ang gaganda ng mga tanim mo? So they refer on the local farmers. But nagme-message na po sila, nag-check na rin sila sa mga social media, mga Google, and so on and so forth for the source of information on farming, fishing, and agribusiness. Okay, for next slide, please. Despite the challenges being faced by women in the AFF sectors, women still try to make the best out of the resources they have. Here are some of the inspiring stories of these women agripreneurs, okay? So on the left foremost side is Miss Cristina Rocapor, a farmer of Rosario, La Union. Her whole family is into farming, and her daughter, Christine, stands to be a 4-H club leader. Okay. On the rightmost side is Miss Leia Santiago. She is from mga Tarem, okay? Southernmost Pangasinan, okay? Ang aking kababayan. Sandwiched by Zambales and west by the Tarlac in the east. She is promoting integrated, diversified organic farm in mga Tarem, Pangasinan that promote agritourism and organic agriculture. Her organization, Our Farm Republic, also offers training and seminars, farm tours, fresh food, fresh produce, and livestock. On the center is Miss Violeta Aligado, owner of Aligado's Farm. Her farm is focusing on tilapia production and improvement of the vegetable project, which is proposed during the initial validation conducted by the ATI or Agriculture Training Institute Regional Training Center in 13, last June 17, 2020. She also plans to start producing mushroom for additional income. Okay? So ikwento ko lang po din na mas mabilis. Noong weekend po, itong weekend lang, Friday, Saturday, meron po isa tayong kaibigan na kaibigan po ng isang commissioner natin, si Ashley Limbona, si Engineer Arvin, at saka yung mga kasama niyang farmers sa Batangas. They plan because saturated na daw po sa Rosario, Batangas ang mga quail birds na of course that lays quail eggs. So pababaan sila ng presyo, halos wala na daw namimili kasi nga napakadami ng quail eggs producer. So they plan na yung 2,000 quail birds nila ay katay na lang at gawang deep fried quail bird at i-adobo daw nila. Until such time na ikwento nga po ni Commissioner Limbona sa akin, sabi ko, anong plano nila doon? So kung gusto daw natin, Madam Chair, i-donate na lang nila sa women community ng mga ng PCW para po, kasi ang sabi po nila is that ang ating mga quail birds would lay eggs parang almost 7 months to a year. So ilang buwan pa lang po yung mga quail birds, I think 4, 5 months. So they have a lot of months to lay the eggs. So ang ginawa po namin, okay, nag-coordinate po kami. So i-donate po nila sa aming mga community yung mga quail birds, around 2,000 quail birds. So yung iba po napunta po sa Zambales, yung iba po napunta sa Pangasinan, yung iba napunta naman po sa Cavite, sa Antipolo. So yung 2,000 quail birds na po ito ay nangingitlog araw-araw ng isang egg. So per women community, nagbigay po kami ng 200. So imagine po yung 200 eggs na libre na pong kakainin ng isang komunidad. So if it's 1 peso, that's 200 pesos a day. And na po yun, yung lack of needs po nila, hindi na po sila bibili ng itlog, plus yung protein needs po nila, andun na po. Kaya lang yun nga po, hinay-hinay lang, sabi po namin, kasi mataas po ng konti mataas po sa cholesterol ang quail eggs. But 2,000 quail birds, if it lays eggs every day, that's, at piso po yan, that's 2,000 pesos earnings of the community of women for free. So binilhan po namin ng feeds, kami po ang nagbayad ng logistics transformation. Kaya po tuwang-tuwa po kami nung tinurnover namin kasi yung mga bata naglapitan, nakita nila paano nangingitlog, yung mga quail birds, and then yun. Di ba hindi lang yung bibili na lang nila sa palengke tapos iuwi sa bahay. So ganun po yung yung nakakatuwang feeling pag direct po yung nakakatulong po tayo sa ating mga kababaihan. So for next slide please. So ngayon po at na-discuss na po natin ang current situation ng ating AFF sector. Allow me to highlight the gender issues identified in line with this current situation. Next slide, please. Flash on the screen are some of the gender issues identified by our agency, by PCW, in relation to the current situation of the AFF. First, let me start with the high financial constraint among rural women. Over 70% of the poor are residing in the rural areas. Significantly affected is the lives of rural women. Okay? Rural women are predominantly relying on agriculture, fisheries, and simple trading of raw materials. But rural women are generally earning less, holding irregular and low-paying employment, not covered by social protection. So yun na po yung dahil nga wala na po naman silang parang formal employment, self-employed po sila. Hindi po sila majority of them, if not all, ay hindi talaga nag-apply for SSS, PhilHealth, yung mga iba pang mga government agency social services. So hindi po sila covered ng SSS, ng mga social protection, limited access organization to dictate prices of the inputs and the produce. So, nakakatuwa nga po ngayon with the present government that we have right now, in-encourage po sila magkaroon ng cooperative or mag-set up ng kanilang people's organization. And further, women have lower numbers and hours dedicated to productive works. Lastly, women typically divide or allot financial assistance or wage to the household needs rather than investing on the continuous farming, fishing, and enterprise operations, which might affect the productivity and income and the sustainability of production and agribusiness. Totoo po yun. Minsan po, di ba, yung konting harvest po nila, dapat po part of that may ibabalik po natin para masustain po natin yung ating pagsasaka at pangingisda. Dahil nga po may mga challenges po tayo ngayon, kailangan bumili ng pagkain, kailangan bumili ng gamot, kailangan sustentuhan ng pag-aaral. Kaya po minsan nadadivert po yung kanilang mga konting kinikita. Kaya nga po during the pandemic, capital is the major need of the small-scale farmers, fishers, foresters, and trade players, especially women headed our own brand, okay? Especially nga po yung mga single mother natin, solo parent, or yun po talagang wala na pong maasahan kundi siya lang. Okay? Some of them stop investing on their operations due to the lack of household income, limited income sources, and low productive assets. Okay? Input, services, transportation, productive infrastructure, and technologies are pushing rural women into poverty. Ganyan po ang nangyari po sa kwento ko po kanina sa mga taga Rosario, Batangas, na mas madami po kasing kumbaga yung cost po ng feeds ay pinapakain po nila sa mga quail birds. Tapos hindi naman nila nabibenta yung mga quail eggs. Kaya po nag-decide na lang sila na ipamigay, ipa-adapt yung kanilang mga quail birds or yung katayin na lang para maging ulam. Okay. As such, reduced production capacity and limited market access have negative impacts on cash flow and financial liquidity of all value chains actors, with huge effect on women-headed household yon. Kaya nga po nakausap po namin yung farmer owner si Sylvia at saka yung asawa niya. Talaga pong yung discussions po natin na to ay napaka inspiring na kailangan pong malaman natin. Hindi man po sila nagsasalita kasi 'di ba napakadami na pong problemang hinaharap ang ating gobyerno pero mararamdaman mo yung kanilang hirap. They own hectares of land pero parang nakatiwangwang na nga po dahil nga yung productivity ay napakababa. Okay? Second gender issues is the limited access to digital transformation tools, production and value-adding technologies and information. Digital divide puts women at a disadvantaged position. Globally, during the pandemic, women are less likely than men to own a mobile phone, the basic tool for digital transformation, and less likely to use mobile internet. In developing countries, women also have less autonomy and agency in smartphones acquisitions. Kaya nga po yung na-discuss natin kanina, even in the internet penetration rate or the rate of the increase in the use of internet, rural women are the underprivileged position. The gap is worsened by language barriers and illiteracy in the rural areas. So, pangatlong gender issues is the low participation in the decision-making. Due to the lack of sex disaggregated statistical information, involvement in rural women in decision-making is not really established. Kaya nga po, di ba, minsan mag-uusap sila. Yung decision-making ability ng ating mga kababaihan, sometimes disregarded. Sometimes hindi siya yung priority. Worse, minsan hindi na rin sila tinatanong, di ba? Decision-making allows full power and agency for the economic productive means. In rural areas, where productivity highly depends on the productive assets, ownership and collective actions precedes independence in decision-making. Generally, women are experiencing low independence in decision-making. So, lagi na lang sinasabi na yung opinion natin parang hindi siya substantial. Hindi siya importante sa mga ganitong pagkakataon, especially pag farming or fishing ang pinag-usapan. Generally, women are experiencing low independence in decision-making and movement restrictions and shift in consumer demand during the pandemic aggravated this issue. Especially women who are tasked to budget household income, thinking of how to keep the supplies flowing. So, number 4, aside from the previously mentioned issues, one of the major challenges faced by decision makers and program implementers was the identification of the target populations. SDD and the gender-related information about the AFF population is limited. Worse, a few data collected are not harmonized. Thus, most of the law, policies, and programs to respond with the onslaught of the pandemic and craft a recovery plan to address the long-term impact of the pandemic are not gender responsive. And lastly, the last 5 issue that we would like to discuss is the double work burden or the higher proportion of the unpaid care and domestic work. So, women disproportionately shoulder unpaid work of caring for the children, the elderly, and the sick. So, nakikita po natin pag galing sa farm, galing po sa pagsasaka, sa labas, pagdating po sa bahay, si nanay pa, yung mga kababaihan pa, yung women and girls natin, ang nagpe-prepare ng food, ang naglalaba, ang naglilinis, ang naghugas ng pinggan. And sometimes, pag nagkasakit ang pamilya, sino po ba yung number 1 na inaasahan sa bahay na mag-tend, mag-alaga ng mga matatanda, mag-alaga ng mga anak? Kaya nga, makikita niyo po may isang illustration po na ipinadala sa akin yung isang kaibigan nating artist na babae. Habang si nanay ay naglalaba, yung isang paa niya ay idinuduyan yung kanyang sanggol. At yung kanyang mata naman ay nakatingin din. Baka masunog yung kanyang sinasaing. At ang kanyang bibig naman ay nagbibigay ng instruction sa kanyang ibang mga anak kung ano pa yung dapat gawin. So ganun ka-multitask ang ating mga kababaihan. Kung meron tayong 5 anak, so 5 instruction ibibigay mo. So siguro kaya naging multitasking din ako as a person is that nakita ko kasi paano yung mga rural women natin, yung katulad po ng mother ko. So pag galing niya sa farm together with papang, yon lahat ng gawaing bahay ginagawa niya. And napaka-fortunate naman dahil dalawa kami magkapatid na babae at isang lalaki. That kami trinay niyang tumulong. Ngayon, pagkatapos po natapos namin lahat yung gawaing bahay, yung bandang hapon, after lunch, hindi po yan matutulog, kundi magtatahi po yan. So, lahat po ng mga damit ko mula nung elementary hanggang grade 6 hanggang high school, gawa po ni mamang. pati yung pantalon ng kuya ko, yung uniform namin. And then minsan pag nag-graduation, ako po ay first honor, pupunta po kami sa palengke, papasuot naman niya yung mga magagandang damit na makikita, na ituturo ko. And then, titignan niya mabuti yon. Tapos, aalisin na niya, sasabihin niya sa akin, pupunta tayo sa bilihan ng tela, bibilhan kita at gagawin kita ng mas pinakamagandang damit. So sabi ko, Mang, akala ko ba yun ang gusto kong damit? Bakit hindi po yun ang bibili natin? Hindi mas magandang damit ang gagawin ko. So yung top 5 na favorite kong damit na isinuot ko, gagawin yun ni Mamang, magtatahi siya ng isang damit na unique. Kaya po tuwing graduation po namin, ako lang po ang kakaiba yung damit. Dahil nga made out of love ng aking nanay. Ayun. So those are the things that nakita ko ang parang happy siya sa ginagawa niya. But sometimes because there's a lot of stress, shorter na yung kanilang rest, longer yung kanilang days, sometimes talaga napapabayaan nila yung kanilang sarili. And worst scenario is that nagkakasakit din ang ating mga kababaihan, ang ating mga nanay. So, isama pa natin dyan yung school closures added in the burden of women who are expected to guide and monitor their children's school performance. Kaya nga di po ba dati, pag send ng mga natin sa anak natin sa school, pag uwi natin sa bahay, hinahanap na natin yung ating trabaho sa bahay. But because ang ating mga anak nasa bahay ngayon, so additional burden pa. Actually, hindi naman burden kung tutuusin kasi syempre, we would love to teach our children at monitor their performance in school. But because we have enough plate on our table, parang, ay, grabe, parang, si teacher kailangan mag-submit ng modules tuwing Friday. So yung anak mo, tatanungin ka ng mga kailangang, ng kanyang mga assignment. So hanggang sa may mga di ba, sa mga Facebook pa na nagsasagot ng assignment, ng mga exam, ay mga nanay na. Kaya tuloy, in some way, if yung mga nanay hindi nakatapos ng pag-aaral, talagang hirap po sila na i-monitor or tulungan yung kanilang mga anak. And then, on the other way around naman, na i-enhance din po yung kanilang educational thinking dahil, ay, ito na pala yung mga bago ngayon. Kasi nung elementary ako, ito lang inaaral namin ngayon. Yung mga advanced classes ng ating mga anak, ito na yung pinag-aralan nila. So it's a very nice compromising situation that we really have to live with the new normal. Coupled with low nutritious food and vitamin intake to save money, women have low productive capacity to compete. So yun, makaka-relate din po siguro kayo dito na tipong, imbis na kakainin na ni nanay, di ba, sabihin niya, sige kayo na lang. Di ba, yung, halimbawa, isang buong bangos, okay, hati-hati yon kung ilang kayo sa family. So si nanay, yun na lang gulay o kaya yung sabaw ang kakainin niya. So nagkakaroon din siya ng lack of nutritional content sa katawan niya, considering the fact na siya yung nagmamanage ng home, ng family, tumutulong pa siya kay tatay sa pangingisda at saka sa farm. So just imagine yung services at saka yung sakripisyo na ginagawa ng isang babae. Okay, next slide please. So ngayon at na-identify po natin, okay, the issues, the gender issues that we have in AFF, let us now move on the various efforts of government such as the law, the program, strategy, and tools used in addressing gender issues, okay? So medyo talagang bigla ka na lang mapapaisip na, oo nga, no, ang laki ng burden ng role ng ating mga nanay, ng mga kababaihan when it comes to AFF. Okay? So, next slide, please. Let's all start with the law promoting women economic empowerment. Ang nakakatuwa po ngayon with the PCW, the Philippine Commission on Women, and with the present administration right now, we are so active in really promoting the law and that would significantly change the gender disparity of women that we have right now. So the law that identifies the GAD mandate of different key implementing agency to achieve women economic empowerment, or WEE, is the Republic Act 9710 or the Magna Carta of Women. So ngayon po, Agosto, okay, August 14, nag-celebrate na po tayo ng 12 years anniversary ng Magna Carta of Women. For the key implementing agency of the WE or WEE, there are 3 major provisions of the law that dictates the major gender issues that needs to be addressed. Okay? So tatlong major provisions po natin. Okay? Section 20, Food Security and Productive Resources states that the states through its implementing agency shall recognize the contribution of women in food production and ensure the participation of women. Kaya po, sobrang natutuwa po kami sa PCW sa webinar natin na ito kasi you give us the platform to discuss this Section 20 of the Magna Carta of Women. This emphasizes the women's right to resources for food production. Okay. Section 22, on the other hand, right to decent work is the second provision that this law mandates the key implementing agency to ensure that there are opportunities for work that are productive and fairly remunerative, protection from occupational and health hazard, and support to balance family obligations and work of women. The last provision is the Section 23, right to livelihood, credit, capital, and technology. This ensures that women have equal shares to the produce of the farm. However, a disadvantage that might be present is that there is no participation of the CSO. Okay, next slides, please. Program focus on rural women, especially on formalizing the sector, shall be reinforced. Primarily, continuous provisions and reviews of existing policies on ownership and distribution of resources shall also be done. This is to strengthen and land tenure rights, especially among women, okay? Acquiring and alienating land. There have been response and recovery initiatives conducted by most of the key implementing agencies for the agriculture sector, such as the Department of Agrarian Reform, or DAR, through ARB bold move to fight COVID-19 and enable enhanced partnership against hunger and poverty programs, the Department of Agriculture, supporting women economic empowerment project in partnership with the PCW Great Women Project Program Management Office. Okay, and last week nga po, nag-meeting po kami ni Secretary William Dar, at hopefully we will be launching, they have already launched yung yung square foot farming at saka yung women in agriculture. Okay, so yun po yung mga rural farming that we would like to actively participate, at saka mas inganyuhin po natin ang ating mga kababaihan na mag-join po dito. So the Land Bank of the Philippines, through the Great Women Program, they must have, okay, our women should have this credit programs and the capacity of development programs led by the Agriculture Training Institute. Okay, so kung meron po tayong mga programa na pwedeng sabihin championing ang mga na mag-champion sa mga women farmers natin, okay, dito po sa ATI. Nakakatuwa po sila kasi talagang tinitignan po nila yung health hazard na encounter po ng ating mga kababaihan. For the fisheries sectors, okay, sa ating mga kababaihan naman na nasa pangingisda, the Department of Agriculture, through its credit programs for the Fishers, Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, or BFAR, and the National Fishery and Aquatic Resources or Council, or also have response and recovery program being implemented. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so for this strategy, we identified gender mainstreaming as a means of including gender perspective in the design and implementation of plans and programs to carry out the agency mandates. Allocating resources for the conduct of gender-responsive activities in the regular programs of the organization. The formulation of your annual GAD plan and budget as a tool to use to ensure that these are carried out by agency and the LGU. Kaya nga po kami po ay nakikiusap sa paggawa niyo po ng plano, ng GAD plan and budget. Sana po hindi lang po attributes. Hindi lang po para lang ma-comply, para lang makumpleto yung yung ating annual report, dapat mo naka-mainstream po tayo, naka-sentro po ang gender and development natin. Okay, that's why there is also this GMEF or the Gender Mainstreaming Evaluation Framework. Gamitin po natin yon as a tool to measure the extent of the gender mainstreaming efforts of the organization, both the national government and the local government, especially the local government unit. Kasi minsan pag tinatanong ko po, kumusta po ang inyong God plan and budgeting? Ano po yung mga programa po ninyo sa ating mga kababaihan, sa mga LGBTQIA sector? Minsan sasabihin ng mga nasa LGU, katulad po last year. Kung ano po yung ginagawa namin last year, yun na rin po ang ginagawa namin ngayon. Okay? So siguro po pwede po nating i-revisit, pwede po nating magkaroon ng town hall meeting, mag-stakeholder policy meeting tayo, para ano na po yung dapat nating gawin, para po mas magkaroon ng social impact, para hindi po sayang yung 5% na pondo na nanggagaling sa ating gobyerno. At the same time, makita po natin yung economic empowerment ng ating kababaihan. So GMEF also means to assist the Gender and Development Focal Point System. Kung sino po yung Gender and Development Focal Point System members po natin, ito pong ginagamit nila to measure the gains and success as well as to pinpoint areas for improvement in the way they mainstream the gender and development perspective in their respective organization. So, kung sino po yung God Focal Point System person natin, members, ito po yung gagamitin po natin yung GMF tool. In the diagram shown on the left side, okay, if you can see the left side, it is evident that gender mainstreaming is a tool in achieving gender equality and women's empowerment. Okay, next slide please. Okay, lastly, ayan po, malapit na po tayo. The PCW uses the tool Harmonized Gender and Development Guides or HGDG. We call this in layman's term Hagadaga, to ensure that key implementing agencies have gender responsive plans and projects which involves women in the whole project cycle. So next slide, please. With the gender issues enumerated in the previous slides, we would like to inform the audience that we are continuously working hand in hand with various sectors to address them and to continue to advocate for gender equality and women's empowerment. Kung kinakailangan pong maya't-maya mag-stakeholders meeting tayo para po ma-check natin. Kumbaga parang sa di ba, nung ako po ay Commissioner ng Science and Health Sector, talagang chine-check ko po yung ating mga frontliner, chine-check ko po yung ating mga women in agriculture, how are they when it comes to maternity leave, kumusta po yung kanilang mga all facets of health and safety. So we continue to advocate on gender equality and women empowerment, because if we champion this side, okay, then we are part of the national recovery in the COVID-19 pandemic and we are claim holders in the government, okay? With this, okay, next slide please, we have developed the RISE approach model which aims to achieve the following, okay? So ito na po yung ating ways forward, okay? Reduce vulnerability. RISE is R-I-S-E. We would like to reduce vulnerability. Okay, the multiple burden of women should be reduced through the family systems approach and provision of social support and care services. Transformative change for equality should be incorporated in all response measures and recovery plans, especially in the agricultural extension services. Conduct of behavioral change campaigns with family support system as a message should be done in all levels across the AFF value chain. Actually, yung paglalaba po, di ba, meron pong commercial po ang isang ad agency, share the load, di ba? So hindi lang po nanay ang naglalaba dapat, pati tatay. Tapos happy silang nagkukwentuhan at nagsasampay naman po sila. Parang parang it's one way of bonding, okay? So number 2, we have to promote inclusion, innovation. So that stands for the I, inclusive innovation. Support digital transformation of the AFF value chain through making the digital tools available to all. So dapat hindi lang po dito sa city, meron pong access tayo sa free internet or wifi. Dapat pati rin po sa ating mga probinsya. explore the possibility of upscaling digital technology and a trade as a game changer. There are many potential gains in the digital economy. Ito na po yung new normal natin. Digital economy, yung mga digital banking natin, diba katulad nito webinar, imagine niyo po yung ating mga participants, yung iba nasa probinsya, yung iba nakita ko kanina, may mga Caraga, may mga, kayo nasa Laguna, ako nasa Quezon City, nasa Manila, and yet kahit na naka-lockdown po kami, ECQ po kami sa Manila, yung work from home at yung through the possibility ng digital technology natin, nagagawa po natin lahat ng trabaho natin. Okay. So, number 3 is to secure sex disaggregated data, invest in the collection of SDD to allocate or to locate the most vulnerable groups, and using the SDD to improve data quality to inform policy and programs to address the challenges and barriers hindering sustainable economic stability. So, kung nagkaroon po tayo na 6 disaggregated data, we would like to invest and collect and to locate the most vulnerable groups using this SDD. So at least yung data gathering po natin, quality of information and policies and programs ay talaga pong masusustain po natin. Kasi these are the barriers and the challenges that hindering the sustainable economic stability. Kaya nga po, bigyan ko lang po kayo ng isang example is that yung Pangasinan State University, tumutulong po sila ngayon na magkaroon ng mga 6 disaggregated data collection through sa LGU to mainstream the gender equality and women empowerment at para din malaman kung ano yung mga pressing problems and gender issues na kinakaharap ngayon ng mga kababaihan, ng ating mga LGBTQ sector at ang ating mga young generations sa kanilang probinsya. Okay? And lastly, to strengthen economic response and recovery plans, support economic activities to ease the burden of all actors in the value chain. Kasi kung isang actors po, like katulad yung industry sector po natin, the women farmers, fishers, foresters, and the enterprise owners, financial service provider, banks, and informal lending companies need to review and simplify the requirements to reduce the service fees for access to their financial products and support. Ang dami po kasi minsan, di ba? Kaya po parang na-overwhelm po yung ating mga nanay.
To mainstream the gender equality.
Yung ating mga women fisher folks saka farmers, hindi nila alam kung ano yung uunahin nila, yung requirement na to kailangan i-submit, kung hindi kompleto, hindi ipoprocess. So, at sa ating mga financial, technological, and productive partners, siguro kailangan po nating tignan yon. Kailangan po nating i-review yung mga polisiya, yung mga requirements, kung pwedeng bawasan, kung pwedeng yung iba ay wag nang hingin. Kasi sabi nga nila, di ba, pag nangutang isang kababaihan, talagang nagbabayad po ang ating mga Juana. Okay? So, we acknowledge that these are just some of the prevalent issues which were further aggravated by the COVID-19 pandemic, but we would like to encourage everyone, especially those who have the right expertise to help the vulnerable sector in the AFF. Okay? So, medyo napahaba po yata ang aking presentation. Pasensya na po kayo kung ang dami ko pong kwento. Kasi alam niyo po, nakaka-relate po ako sa ating mga ngayon, sa ating topic dahil sa ways forward po natin, lagi po nating sinasabi na kailangan, okay, yung participation ng private-public partnership, the CSO, the NGO, ay talaga pong mai-promote natin. The government cannot do it alone. We need private stakeholders like you. We need the CSO. We need individual to be part of the solution. And then, of course, meron din po tayong GMF for SUC like the UPLB. And then the commitment to equalize number of the female and male students enrolling in AFF. So sa ating chancellor sa UPLB, balance po ba? Meron po ba tayong balance number ng mga enrollees natin sa ating mga subject or courses sa UPLB ng mga kababaihan? So if this is one way to promote through UPLB, to encourage our women in agriculture to enroll formally, to be educated in agriculture, let it be a partnership, an MOU with PCW and UPLB para po ma-promote po natin ang women in agriculture. And of course, let's include God in the lessons of AFF courses. I think may mga initial talks na po tayong ginagawa with UPLB na include natin ang gender and development, yung mga gender-sensitive issues, yung mga gender mainstreaming sa mga courses natin, sa mga subject matter natin na i-discuss sa UPLB, okay? So this ends my presentation. I hope we can all be champions and duty bearers of inclusivity, of gender inclusivity and women empowerment in the AFF sector. So bago po makalimutan, I would like to acknowledge also Dean Agham Cuevas ng College of Economics and Management. Magandang umaga po, Dean Cuevas, Director Cheryl Yap, and Director Amando Angeles. Again, on behalf of the Philippine Commission on Women, natutuwa po ako at binigyan niyo po kami ng chance to be a platform wherein the catalyst of change between gender equality and women empowerment, we have to do it now, today. Maraming salamat po at magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, PCW Chairperson Montano. Kami po ay natutuwa at ikinararangal po namin na kami po ay pinaunlakan ninyo ngayong umaga. Kung aalalahanin lang po natin yung mga pinresent po ni Ma'am Sandy, napakilala po niya sa atin W o Philippine Commission on Women at ang kanilang mga serbisyo bilang lead advocate for women empowerment and gender equity and equality. Natutunan rin po natin ang malawak na role ng ating mga kababaihan sa sektor ng agrikultura. Pinalakay rin po ni Ma'am Sandy ang tungkol sa Magna Carta for Women. Bukod po rito ay natutunan natin ang ilang mga paraan kung paano po tayo makakatulong upang isulong ang kahalagahan ng mga kababaihan sa sektor ng agrikultura at sa ating lipunan po. So alam ko po na marami po ang nasiyahan at marami po tayong natutunan sa ating paksa ngayon, tulad ko po. At para po sa mga katanungan at paglilinaw sa ating mga participants, maaari nyo pong i-type ang inyong mga tanong sa Q&A section sa Zoom, sa mga participants po sa Zoom, at sa comment section po ng YouTube at Facebook page natin ng CAPS. So, ilagay nyo lang po ang inyong mga tanong na yan at nagpapasalamat po tayo dahil handa po si Ma'am Sandy, kasama pa rin po natin siya para po sagutin ang ilang paglilinaw mula po sa inyo. At para po pangunahan at magiging moderator po ng ating open forum, ay narito po muli si Dr. Roslyn F. Paelmo.
Thank you very much. Maraming salamat, Prof. Hazel. Hi, Ma'am Sandy. Ako ang iyong kapiling sa ating bahagi ng ating talatanungan, pero hindi lamang talatanungan ang magaganap. Kagaya nito, nais ko munang basahin yung komento ni Binibining Marfe Kinlat. Sabi niya, yes, women has a great role in the development, especially in the grassroots. So talagang aprobado po sa kanya ang lahat ng inyong mga naipahayag. Hindi pa po kayo natatapos, may mga nakalinya ng tanong, ma'am. Talagang lahat ay pukaw nyo ang kanilang mga damdamin at puso. No? So ito po muna ang kauna-unahan, Anonymous. How responsive are women in the community participating in your projects and activities in the PCW?
First and foremost, thank you, Dr. Rose. Ako po ay natutuwa, no, kasi yung ating mga question is, sabihin na nating it would go back to the oversight function that we are doing. Kasi po bago po ako na-appoint as PCW chairperson, ako po naging commissioner, ako po ay talagang part na po ng Go Negosyo program. At nakita ko po na napaka-active po ng participation, especially ng Department of Agriculture and PCW through Office of Secretary William Dar sa mga kababaihan natin. Every year po, meron pong gawad magsasaka ang PCW na talagang naka-mainstream po ang ating mga kababaihan. So, one of them na mga nakita ko pong napakagandang proyekto po na ginagawa po natin ng PCW at saka ng mga kababaihan natin sa pagsasaka is that yun pong nakikita po nila na yun pong dati, 'di ba, pag halimbawa magre-request po ang mga cooperative ng equipments sa pagsasaka, dahil mga traktora, yung mga kuliglig, yung mga gamit sa Ngayon po nagpapagawa na po ng mga mas maliliit, mas fit sa kababaihan, mas lighter yung weight pag ginamit. That would conform with the alignment ng ating mga kababaihan. So yun po yung isa sa mga nakakatuwa. Hindi yung tipong donation ng DA or ng Department of Science and Technology sa cooperative. Ang laki po ng mga tractor, ang laki ng mga kuliglig, ang laki ng mga gamit, 'di ba? Hindi nila minsan alam gamitin at minsan ang bibigat. So may mga lightweight na po siya. Tapos nang nakita ko yung mga pictures nga po na especially in Mindanao na yung iba pa ang kulay ay violet. Wow, sabi kong gano'n, talagang empowered na ang mga tao ngayon. At nakikita na nila yung social impact ng mga kababaihan as part ng productivity sa farming at saka sa fisheries. Yun po. Thank you, Dr. Rose.
Thank you po sa inyong katugunan, Chairperson Sandy. At nakakatuwa sa maikling, sabi niyo nga po, bago pa lang kayo, pero nakikita niyo talaga yung pagbabago. Iniaakma ngayon ang lahat ng mga bagay na magagamit ng ating mga kababaihan sa ating agrikultura. Kagaya ng background niyo, violet na violet. Ayan, ang saya. Ito pa, ma'am. Nako, sabi, in implementing gender equality and women empowerment, rights, plans, and activities, what was the most challenging situation have you encountered as a chairperson?
Siguro po one of the challenges that I could see right now is, of course, there's a lot of policy that we would like to be implemented, to be approved. Kaya lang, because there's a limitation that we have right now because of the COVID-19 pandemic, work from home, and then minsan yung pipirma na lang o kaya magkakaroon ng meeting, biglang mapopostpone. Yun po yung mga challenges na nakikita namin right now. And then sabi ko nga po kay Secretary Anyo at saka sa ating mga secretary, siguro po yung 1 year na stint ko, kasi I celebrated my anniversary as a chairperson noong July 7, 1 year po tayo. Mas marami pa po siguro tayo nagawa kung walang limitation sa pag-travel. Namimohan nga po ako last time because I need to see yung mga kababaihan po natin ng mga mananahi. At the same time, yung mga asawa po nila ay farmers naman sa different provinces. But then, yun nga, mag-ECQ, tapos may mga challenges na ganon, ay sinabihan po ako na, okay, Chair, hindi po tayo direct service at tayo po ay policy making. So, hintayin po natin yung mga policy na ma-approve and then magkaroon ng IRR. So, ang binanggit ko naman po sa kanila, di ba mayroon tayong oversight function. So, yun po yung ina-exercise ko. Kasi iba po yung nakakarating po tayo sa grassroots, Dr. Rose, iba yung nakikita natin, nakakausap natin sila. Minsan, kausap ko po yung mga women farmers natin. And then sabi ko, ate, parang maputla po kayo. Tapos yun pala, nagko-continuous bleeding. Tapos, pumupunta po pa rin sila ng so ano po yung iniinom yung gamot, ano yung ganyan. So parang ako bilang nurse na nakapaggawa pa ako ng health teaching. Tapos nakita ko sa kanila, and then pumunta po ako sa barangay nila, kinausap ko yung clinic. Yung clinic pala doon ay wala na rin yung nurse, nag-abroad na rin. So one time pumunta po ako sa Department of Health sa PTAC. So we're planning na magkaroon po ng online class ang mga kababaihan sa mga 10 halamang gamot na pwede nilang itanim sa kanilang bakuran para pag naramdaman po nila na parang nahihilo sila, kulang sila ng mga ganitong ay may mga na-encounter silang fever or cough ng kanilang mga pamilya at ng kanilang anak, then meron pong halamang gamot na pwede nilang gawin. So yun po, that's beyond our mandate as a policy-making body. I am going beyond our mandate and working towards the sustainability ng ating mga kababaihan. Yun po.
Yes, Chairperson, damang-dama ko yung inyong commitment of service talaga, no? Totoo po, talagang napakahirap ngayong gumalaw sa panahon na naging pandemya ang ating sitwasyon. And really, I feel you that you were in your baptism of fire in your pag-upo dito sa inyong posisyon ngayon. But I salute you of your commitment and services po. Tunay po, talagang pagka nasa online, limitado po yung pwede nating makita at pwede nating magawa. Kasi lalo na, pagka nasa Zoom meeting tayo, may filter, may light, hindi na natin nakikita, namumutla na pala ang ating kausap. Pero meron pa po, humahaba yung listahan ko dito. Susunod na po ito. How can one avail this support and interventions for women? So talagang naging interesado sila. Can an individual avail of it? Or is it for organizations of women only?
Individually, pwede po kayong maka-avail. Pumunta po kayo sa pinakamalapit po ninyong LGU, kahit sa barangay lang po. At sa local government unit po sa barangay, meron po sila mga women's desk. Okay? So kung halimbawa, ang concern po natin is tungkol sa ating VAUC, Violence Against Women and Children, may barangay desk officer po na pwedeng tumulong po sa atin. Okay, kung tungkol naman po sa capitalization, tungkol sa training, tungkol po sa collaboration, okay? Ako po personally, I would suggest na mag-join po kayo ng isang cooperative or people's organization para mas may voice po kayo, mas may mentor pa rin po nila kayo para sa gusto niyo pong gawin. And marami po training ngayon, ang DTI, ang DOST, ang ATI ng Department of Agriculture, kung paano po natin mas lalong mapag-iibayo ang ating kabuhayan, ang ating pagsasaka, kahit na limited lang po yung resources at limited lang po yung ating kaalaman. Kaya nga po, di ba, yung kapatid mentor me, kapatid agri-mentor me ng GoNegosyo at saka ng Department of Agriculture, may 10 modules po yon. Isa nga po ako sa mga speaker po doon. Ang aking topic po lagi, Dr. Rose, is mind setting. Di ba? Kasi lagi nilang sinasabi na mag-aral kang mabuti, anak, para hindi ka maging katulad ko na magsasaka lang, na farmer lang, na mananahi lang. Kawawa ang magiging pamilya mo. So sa mind setting, kinukwento po namin na, di ba, sa buhay natin ngayon, how many times, okay, lagi na sabihin na mag-abogado ka, mag-doktor ka, ito yung kunin mong kurso kasi ito yung malaki ang kikitain. Ngayon, minsan sinabi ko nga po, sa ating buhay, how many times we need a doctor sa buhay natin? If we are sick, especially now with the COVID-19 pandemic, we need these healthcare professionals. How many times in our life we need a lawyer to be present in our life, okay? If we have a case to solve, kung mayroon tayong kailangang pag-usapan tungkol sa legality, sa mga lupa siguro. Pero kung sa everyday life natin, 3 times a day, we need a farmer in our life. So, kaya sinabi ko sa ako, hindi ako nahihiyang sabihin ako ay galing sa sa mahirap na pamilya, ang aking magulang ay farmer at mananahi kasi imagine mo yung sabi ni Papang noon, mag-aral ka mabuti para hindi ka maging katulad namin na mahirap. Tapos nag-aral naman po ako, Dr. Rose, sa ating mga kinarir ko talaga ng elementary, nag-graduate ako as valedictorian. Nung high school, nag-graduate ako as one of the top 5 sa aming class. Sinabihan ako ni Papang na hanggang doon na lang daw ako pwedeng pag-aralin. Kasi hindi na nila kaya, whatever. So, sabi ko, what if makakuha ako ng scholarship? What if, ang dami kong what if working student ako? Ang dami kong bargain, ang dami kong gustong gawin at patunayan na kasi nga 'di ba parang hindi na nila kaya, hindi na nila ma-sustain financially yung magpaaral ng mga college And then sabi ng lolo ko, okay lang 'yon kasi babae ka, mag-aasawa ka, later on sa bahay ka lang naman magpapalaki ka ng mga anak mo, tutulong ka sa asawa mong farmer. So 'yon, parang ang baba ng pangarap nila. Especially pag, 'di ba, sa probinsya ganon, kung sino yung lalaki, siya yung pag-aaralin muna. Second priority na lang yung anak na babae na makatapos ng pag-aaral. So siguro I was able to break the glass ceiling by pursuing what I want to do, yung dream ko na makatapos. Tapos yung nagkaroon ng earthquake sa Baguio City, okay, I was under the rubble for 3 days. Ayun, so sinabi ni Papang na, talagang hindi ka pwedeng mag-college na kasi mahirap, ganyan. So, true enough, because I have a very good family support, sabi ng mga kapatid ko, sige, punta ka sa Manila para doon ka na tumira sa apartment namin. And then, yung brother-in-law ko nagbigay ng aking allowance. And then, yung gano'n, nagtulong-tulong lahat until sa time I graduated ng nursing. So, yun pala yung purpose ko. Noon nga po nung in-interview po nga ako ng media, like, sabi nga nila, I'm the youngest chairperson of the Philippine Commission on Women. At kung tatanungin niyo po, ang PCW usually is the alter ego of the President of the country. At ang position po ng PCW chairperson ay naka-reserve po yan sa mga First Lady ng ating Presidente. Kaya ako po I'm really overwhelmed because right now, sabi nga po ni Secretary Anyo, ako daw ang nababagay dito kasi yung vulnerable sector, okay, I can go out. Yung aking background as a healthcare professional, as a nurse, naging din po ako ng College of Nursing, community nurse po ako, nagagamit ko ngayon. At ako bilang anak ng magsasaka, nagagamit ko rin po kung paano magkaroon ng social impact ngayon through the department, different agency that we have na partner po ng PCW. Gusto po talaga natin. Kaya nga po kami po, Dr. Rose ang nag-approach sa UPLB na, ay tara mag-usap tayo, baka pwede tayong mag-MOU, baka pwede yung mga programa ninyo, pwede mag-join kami sa PCW para mas magkaroon ng active involvement ang ating kababaihan. So yun lang po.
Maraming salamat muli, Chairperson Sandy. Talagang pinaliwanag nyo ng napakalinaw yung isa, pwedeng individual na ma-avail ang lahat ng serbisyo ng isang kababaihan o pwede naman po talagang tayo ay sumama sa isang kooperatiba. Ang pinakagusto ko yung huli nyo pong sinabi, no? It's really life-inspiring kasi hindi po kayo nagdadamot na ipakilala kung sino kayo at talagang hindi sasabihin anak ng magsasaka lang, ng isang mangingisda lang, wala na yung lang. So kayo po ang isang katunayan na talagang kahit saan tayo nagmula, tayo ay magtatagumpay basta mayroong pagsisikap. So balit ito pa, kaugnay na katanong tungkol sa mga involvement ng ating kababaihan mula po kay Ginoong Leodel Narvaez, saang sektor po ng agrikultura mas maraming partisipasyon ang mga kababaihan sa panahong ito. Kasi kanina po sabi niyo meron tayong agriculture, fishery, or forestry. Kung halimbawa tukuyin din natin sa agrikultura, ito ba'y sa paghahalaman, paghahayupan? Sige po, ma'am.
Yeah. I think sa post-production tayo mas madaming kababaihan. Di ba pag nag-harvest na, Yun na yung mga kababaihan. And then doon po sa probinsya kasi yung mga rice field natin, pag nag-uproot po tayo ng mga yung itatanim ng ating mga magsasaka, 'di ba? Mga kababaihan po ang nakababa doon at habang ina-uproot po yung ating mga rice seedlings. 'Yon. Marami po tayo sa sa post-production areas, okay? Sa harvesting at saka sa yung value chain natin, yun na yung halimbawa yung mga reject or yung mga kailangang i-process, farming, madami po diyan ang kababaihan. Nakita ko po na na nung nag-usap nga po kami ni Secretary William Dar, sabi nga niya ganun is kailangan mas lalo maging maging active ka sa DA kasi para nakikita nila, nami-mirror nila na ay hindi pala dirty or hindi pala mababang trabaho ang pagiging farmer. Kasi ikaw mismo, may pictures ka, may background ka on that. So, kasi ito rin po ang pang-balance natin sa mental health natin, di ba? Bigyan ko kayo isang story. Yung isang awardee po natin ng Gawad Magsasaka ng DA, ng Rural Women. Siya po ay isang nurse na nag-work sa Saudi. Binigyan po siya ng taning ng buhay na hanggang parang 6 months to live ka na lang kasi meron po siyang cancer. Nag-metastasize na yung cancer niya sa breast to different parts of her body. So nag-decide siya, yung rest of 6 months niya, kesa naman mamatay daw siya sa Saudi, alone with few members of her family, nag-decide siyang umuwi. Yung hard-earned money niya at saka yung kanyang savings, ibinili po niya ng farm. At sabi nga niya, alam mo, Madam Chair, ilang taon na ngayon mula nung sinabihan ako na 6 months to live lang ako, pero buhay pa rin ako. So, ang explanation po namin doon, yes, yung mga frontliners na katulad namin, we are wearing white, crisp uniform, but we are dealing with the dirtiest viruses and bacteria that we are facing right now with the COVID-19 pandemic and all those challenges that we have in the medical field. When we turn ourselves to become a farmer, yes, we are dealing with the dirtiest part, okay? Nakapaa tayo, madumi yung kamay natin, ang dumi ng ating damit, tagaktak ang pawis natin, but we are inhaling the freshest air that nature can give. We are eating the fresh natural food that we harvest from the farm. Yun po yung naging niya, yun po yung naging parang healing process niya. Kung bakit na-extend yung buhay niya at the same time, noong sinabi nga na graduate na siya sa chemotherapy. So, na lang, kumbaga sabi nga niya, my life on an everyday cycle is already a blessing. Kasi she would never expect in 6 months time, mabubuhay pa siya. And she is now living fully with the family. At dumadami na ang kanyang mga disciples in farming, women in agriculture, at mga frontliners na nadidepress na rin. So sabi nga namin sa mga kapwa naming nurses, sige, umuwi na kayo, mag-farm na lahat tayo. So yun, marami pong farmers na, yun nga, they have their own, women farmers na may mga small plot lang, yung mga, kung sa fisher folks naman, yung ating mga kababaihan, pag naka-harvest na yung asawa, di ba? Nandun na sila na yung nandun sa bulungan at nandun sa palengke para magtinda ng mga na-harvest ng kanilang asawang mga isda. Doon nga po sa Pangasinan, makikita niyo po, yung mga farmer, nung paahon na sila, nandun yung mga asawa nila, may mga daladalang batya. And then doon sa batya, i-ayos na nila yung maliliit, isi-separate na nila yung mga yung mga iba't ibang klase ng isda, and then sila na magpipresyo. Tapos tinanong ko, magkano isang batya? Depende po yan, ma'am, kasi ganito, gano'n. So, sila yon, mga kababaihan yun. So, yun yung parte wherein maaasahan po natin ang ating kababaihan, okay? Dito din po pala si Dr. Romel Sulado, and of course, si Ms. Catherine. At mataas po yung participation din ng ating mga kababaihan sa forestry. Pero doon sa fishery, bumaba na nga po dahil nga sa 300,000 na mga farmers na nag-quit. So chances are ang kanilang mga asawa, hindi na rin nag-join hindi na rin active sa fishing industry. Okay. Yun lang po. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much, Chairperson Sandy, for really identifying the specific roles of our women in the value chain. And likewise, sabi nga natin, ang ating audience ngayon ay very varied, no? Meron tayong mga millennials. Bakit? Kasi natutunugan ko sa tanong niya eh. Do you have scholarship programs for women? So malamang to galing sa mga estudyante. Ganyan, no? Ang lawak ng sakop natin. So siguro nagkakaroon na siya ng interest talaga na magpatuloy ng mga pag-aaral. Na-inspire siguro po siya, ma'am, doon sa sinabi niyo kanina. Naghanap ako ng scholarship. So ngayon, ano po yung specific for women na scholarship program natin?
Yeah, thank you for your question on scholarship. Okay, katulad nga po ng binanggit ko kanina sa presentation, hindi po kasi direct service ang PCW. So para sa ating mga scholars, ang dami pong nakaabang dyan. Ang DA, ATI ay at ang DOST meron din po. As a matter of fact, ngayon nga po ako natutuwa kasi nung nakikita ko po yung parents ko po yung mga women sa amin sa baryo. Talagang ano lang, kumbaga kung ano yung naipass on sa kanila ng mga forefathers, yun ang kanilang sinusunod. Pero ngayon meron na tayong Department of Agriculture Training Institute. Okay, andyan po yung TESDA. So, hindi po kayo mawawalan ng scholarship dahil yan po ay anytime mag-approach po kayo sa region kung saan po kayo naroroon. Meron po silang ready na scholarship para po sa mga deserving at willing na gustong matuto on agriculture, forestry, and any kind of sector. Thank you po.
Ayan. Bottom line, makiugnay para po tayo ay hindi mawawalan. Yun ang bilin sa atin na ating chairperson. So dapat lang po alam natin yung mga ahensya na ating pupuntahan for the different opportunities for the scholarship programs. Now we have to read this one. Okay, a question from our YouTube. Is it okay if an organization that will request for help is composed of men or women, both agriculture and non-agricultural based? So
Of
yun
course,
po ang kanyang katanungan.
At Dr. Rose, kaya nga po gender equality ang ating pinopromote kasi there should be equal rights of men and women, boys and girls, diba? LGBTQIA++. Ay, nang haba, no? So, kami po ay natutuwa kung kayo po ay magiging aktibo. Okay, so yung pong iba na gusto makipag-ugnayan kasi let's face it, minsan pag direct po silang pumupunta daw sa mga government key employment agency or key implementing agency, hindi sila pinapansin. Lalo na daw kung LGU at hindi sila botante. So yung iba po sumusulat po sa akin, sa amin sa PCW, at ini-endorse po namin. At least pag halimbawa ginawa niyo po yon, sumulat po kayo sa amin, at in-identify po niyo doon kung ano yung gusto niyong programa, training, or policy, kailangan pong i-identify namin yung endorsement po namin, yung sa letter ninyo, kung ano yung ahensya na makakatulong po sa inyo. O, yun. Again, tayo po ay for inclusive participation ang pinopromote po natin. Hindi po porket Philippine Commission on Women ay outside the Colombo po ang ating kalalakihan. Hindi po. May gender equality po tayo. Kaya nga po, sabi nga po nila dati, di ba? Behind the success of a man is a woman. Siyempre, pag gender equality, dapat equal rights. Okay? Beside an empowered man is, beside a confident man is an empowered woman. So, dapat yun po yung bago nating beside the men, wherein we can do our equal rights to humankind. Yan.
Thank you very much for that. Ano po, ma'am, talagang sabi nga ang opisina ni Chairperson Sandy ay bukas palad at bukas puso, lahat ay i-entertain nila.
Yeah.
So, pero I like very much your last quote, ma'am. empowered women. And I was cued because of the limited time. Wala na pong ibang pagkakataon pa akong matawag ang iba pang mga komento or katanungan. Subalit bilang moderator, I just want to give my last few minutes of the appreciation. Ito talaga yung nagmarka sa puso't kaisipan ko ngayon, no? We women are champion of multitasking, and all our outputs was very much appreciated because it is made out of love, and all of your statements will be kept in our hearts, Chairperson Sandy, because you shared it with loving thoughts, experiences, and the commitment as well of the PCW. With that, thank you very much po, ma'am. May I request my panelists to show your appreciation in the emoticons as well for our guest speaker. Heart, John, thumbs up, yay! Now I turn over po to our MC. Ma'am, thank you very much for this engagement.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Rose. At on behalf of Philippine Commission on Women, together with Mrs. April, sobrang maraming salamat po. As a matter of fact, yung aking pangalawa pong anak, I was able to convince him to join agriculture course. So hopefully matanggap po siya sa UPLB in this coming school year. Thank you and good morning po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you po.
And so maraming salamat po, Ma'am Roseline and Chairperson Sandy, for being our speaker and also for sharing your knowledge and experiences to us and to all our participants. So with that, ma'am, the College of Agriculture and Food Science would like to give the certificate of appreciation. And let me read the citation. College of Agriculture and Food Science, University of the Philippines, Los Baños College, Laguna, Philippines, present this certificate of appreciation to Sandra S. Montano for serving as the resource person on the topic Women Empowerment in Food and Agriculture during the Aggie Peace Talk version 6, Viewpoints of the Forerunners, Future of Agriculture and Food Systems, under the webinar program, Rebooting Agriculture in the New Normal, held on 19 August 2021 via Zoom. Given this 19th day of August 2021 at the CAPS UPLB College, Laguna, Philippines. Signed by the chair of the CAPS Webinar Committee, Dr. Pompes Santa Cruz, and the Dean of CAPS, Dr. Elpidio M. Agbisit Jr. So muli, marami pong salamat. And for Ma'am Sandy, would you like to say something to our participants before we close the program?
Well, thank you, Ms. Hazel. Again, on behalf of the Philippine Commission on Women, let's all hope for the best with this new normal that we are facing right now. Agriculture is the real game changer. Kung tayo po ay kumakain ng masasarap at masustansya, chances are mas nagiging happy hormones pa ang lumalabas. And of course, hindi po dapat tayo lang bumibili, kundi dapat tayo po ay nagpo-produce. So, thank you again. And lagi kong sinasabi, di ba, an empowered woman is beautiful beyond measure and powerful beyond pressure. Maraming salamat. Good morning.
Thank you po, Ma'am Sandy. Now for our souvenir, may we request our panelists join us, turn on their camera for a with person Sandy po.
Okay po, I'll take the photo. Dean, hindi pa rin po mo-open camera. Ayan, Dean, okay na po. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay po.
Again, thank you po, Miss Kat. Thank you po, Ma'am Sandy. Okay, so for the e-certificates, reminders po to our attendees, kindly answer the post-evaluation form. See the QR code and the link shown in your screen. And the link is also posted in our Zoom chat box, as well as in the comment section of our YouTube and Facebook page. So you can click on the link po to answer the post-evaluation form and receive the e-certificates. So ngayon po, bago po tayo magtapos, ay atin pong pakinggan ang closing remarks mula po sa Deputy Director ng Institute of Crop Science, si Dr. Maria Lourdes S. Edaño. Ma'am?
Hello? Okay. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So today we have heard a talk on women empowerment in food and agriculture. On behalf of everyone, we would like to thank Senator Cayetano for the message and Commissioner Sandy Montano for giving us the overview of the current situation of rural women, the challenges they face, and also in giving us hope with the efforts being done in recognizing the rights of women and also for the inspiring stories. Historically, women do not have enough representation in key decision-making bodies, but this eventually started to change in light of acknowledging women's multiple burden and roles in our society. That women too goes beyond their role in their home, but has a big impact in securing the needs of the family in terms of food and nutrition and in their involvement in agriculture. In fact, in my work, I have met the likes of Nang Pilang, Manang Mary, Manang Filipa, Manang Melay, and the other women farmers who are part in the production, processing, and marketing of agricultural products, recognized as leaders in their community, and continuously inspire other women to actively participate in the future of agriculture. Manang Mary and Manang Felipe are even recognized as scholars internationally, and they have actually put Philippine coffee in the map. We hope that we still increase the participation of women in the current 30% involved in agriculture. Whenever food becomes a problem at home, when food becomes scarce, mothers would usually sacrifice the food that they are about to eat to their children, and they will make ways to produce food for the home. This pandemic has highlighted the need to look at food production and how this production can be accessed easily within communities. Women in agriculture is not only focused in production, but are also known as conservationists of biodiversity, as they are also involved in taking care of different varieties of cereals, legumes, and other vegetables produced in the field, even root crops. If you ask our farmers who takes care of the planting materials, women are also involved since they meticulously know the differences of these varieties as well. And they also understand its value, especially with the challenges faced such as climate change. One of the highlights of the sharing of Commissioner Sandy, and to which some of us can relate, is how much women are saving despite earning less. This embodies the unselfish side of women as they know how to save, not only for the rainy days, but really for the future. We should take note of the welfare of women, and we should push women to be the best as they can be through education and access to information, and to include them in the development process and increase their productivity, keeping in mind of their unique roles for poverty alleviation and gender equality. May we all continue to encourage the empowerment of women in food and agriculture, and also to encourage one another. Thank you, Ma'am Sandy. Thank you for spending your day with us. Let us all either if you have a clapping reaction. If not, you may open your camera to give a round of applause to our speaker, and for those who are involved in this, making this webinar possible. And again, for each one of us here this morning, thank you for your active participation in asking questions and in sharing your opinion and ideas on the chat box or in the Q&A. And again, I would like to borrow the quotes given by Ma'am Sandy, wherein she have stated that we women are champions of multitasking and that empowered women are beyond beautiful. Thank you and good morning to all.
Okay, so maraming salamat po, Ma'am Malu. Nais lang po nating ipaalam sa lahat na bago po tayo magtapos, meron po tayong more than 200 na participants and attendees across platforms sa Zoom, Facebook, at YouTube. So maraming salamat po sa inyong pagtangkilik. Sa pagkakataon pong ito, nais po natin pasalamatan rin ang CAPS at lahat ng institutions at centers na bumubuo nito. Nagpapasalamat rin po tayo sa lahat ng staff na kabilang sa CAPS Webinar Committee at lalo na po sa ating speaker, Chairperson Sandra S. Montano, and the Philippine Commission on Women. So, ngayon po ay meron pa po tayong mga ilang webinar series. May kasunod pa po tayong webinar series. So, maaari po kayong mag-register gamit po ang link na naka-flash po sa inyong screen or iscan nyo po ang QR code. So, ito po ay pinamagatang Grit and Passion in Extension Service. At ang speaker po ay si Dr. Rex L. Navarro. So sana po ay makasama pong muli namin kayo sa susunod na webinar. So bilang pagtatapos po, kami ay nagpapasalamat sa lahat po ng attendees at participants sa Zoom, Facebook at YouTube ng CAPS. Patuloy niyo pong tangkilikin ang mga series ng CAPS Web Fresher Course, APTv.6 version 6.0, Viewpoints of the Forerunners, Future of Agriculture and Food Systems. Ako po muli, si Hazel Ann Makahiya. Kami po ay nagpapasalamat sa inyong lahat at isang mapagpalang umaga po sa ating lahat.
A 112 years ago, the UP Board of Regents had a vision to develop their true firstborn college that will spearhead national development through agriculture. At the foot of Mount Makiling, Edwin B. Copeland, together with 7 faculty and 12 students, embarked on the journey to create the UP College of Agriculture, or UPCA. Through its 112 years of existence, the college has produced over 1,000 technologies and variety of plants and animals, 9 national scientists, over 30 outstanding young scientists, and more than 18,000 graduates contributing to agricultural development. UPCA, now College of Agriculture and Food Science, or CAFS, has been continuously contributing to nation building through its instruction, research, and extension function. A mere 10 years after establishment, the college was able to start breeding works with the production of sugarcane varieties with high productivity and resistance to Fiji and mosaic disease. In the 1920s, the importance of agriculture was intensified and UPCA was recognized as neighboring countries began sending their students to Los Baños because of the high quality of education. In the 1930s, breeds with superior characteristics such as the Burkhala pig, Los Baños Cantonese chicken, and Philippine cattle were developed. The 1960s was a fruitful decade for research. Makapuno, a coconut cultivar often made into a dessert, was pioneered and perfected. Meanwhile, the Dairy Training and Research Institute was the first in the country to freeze buffalo semen, paving the way for artificial insemination of local carabaos. Along with the establishment of UPLB in the 70s, the college received the prestigious Ramon Magsaysay Award for International Understanding, Asia's counterpart for the Nobel Peace Prize. In the same decade, the C4 plants were developed. The soil test kits were produced in support of the Masagana 99 program, and the mango induction technique was introduced. Continuing the production of quality research outputs in the 1980s, techniques to minimize post-harvest losses, the accelerated fish sauce manufacturing process, and the rapid test kit for the detection of pesticide residue on vegetables were developed. The 1990s saw many new varieties across species or crop types, including Sinta papaya, the first Philippine-bred hybrid, UPLB Gold, a durian variety, and Doña Amelita, a musaenda named after the wife of former President Fidel Ramos. The award-winning National Corn-Based Farmer Scientist RDE Training Program, or FSTP, was also established around this time and still remains as one of the university's primary extension programs. In the field of instruction, the book titled Integrating Sustainable Agriculture in the BSA Curriculum, the UPLB College of Agriculture Experience, was published in 1999. At present, the College of Agriculture and Food Science, or CAFS, continues to be the premier institution of higher learning in agriculture and food science, and remains committed to nation building through its instruction, research, and extension programs. In order to produce the best graduates, all of our courses are outcomes-based education, and continuous improvement of the curriculum is being practiced to meet the challenges of the 21st century. As testament of excellence, CAFS is constantly recognized by different organizations. In research, we continue to implement relevant studies with focus on the 12 priority commodities to address food security. Moreover, technologies are constantly developed to aid in responsible food production. Supplementing these are extension activities to disseminate the knowledge generated to improve food productivity and livelihood of the people. We believe that present technologies will future-proof our food systems. Some of our notable developments are iDetect, Coraginam, Plant Health and Pest Clinic, Pest Management Tools and Techniques, Smarter Pest Identification Technology or SPITech, Snap Hydroponics, Drone Technology, Rapid Immunofilter Assay for Virus Indexing, Nanofertilizers Fertigrow, Hormogrow, Nanobiosensors, and Biochar. We at the College of Agriculture and Food Science will continue to promote and nurture a culture with innovative yet conscientious minds and cutting-edge skills to lead and serve the country and the region. We are one college with one goal: towards sustainable food systems.